church of Arkham stood as a blasphemy of stone, its steeple a jagged finger accusing the cold, uncaring stars. Within, the air curdled with the ferric reek of Moloch's heat. At the altar, an emptied woman served as the demon's vessel, her eyes gouts of emerald fire.
I demand the wolf.
The scorcher roared, a sound like temples collapsing.
Bring me the fire tithe.
But Barnabas Marsh did not kneel. He stood amidst the cowering congregation, his frame already thickening with a strange, heavy grace. Behind him, the Marsh kin rose in silent, grave unison.
Thou art an interloper, Moloch,
Barnabas rasped, his voice holding the wet echo of a rising tide.
a thief of shadows who mistook an elder sepulchre for a throne. Thou offerest the spark that dies. We have found the weight that remains.
Barnabas threw back his head, his jaw unhinging with a sickening crack. He spoke then, in the tongue of depths older than man, a language not of air, but of pressure and salt.
Dagon, Othamga Nilgri Yegeb, Shogun Geft.
The floorboards wept black brine. The air grew crushing and dense, reeking of rotted kelp and eons. Barnabas gripped the altar, his fingers webbing into translucent paddles as he intoned the final covenant.
We reject the fire lyre. We choose the saturation, our skin to the scales, our breath to the brine. We offer not a single life, but the unbroken blood. From this day until the great city rises to swallow the sky, we are the tithe of the deep.
The vertical tear in the world, the gateway of the scorcher, began to bleed sea foam. The demon shrieked as the emerald fires were not extinguished, but washed thin. A torrent of spectral black water, the very spirit of the sunless deeps, surged through the rift. Moloch, the prince of ash, was pulled backward like a drowning child by a force that did not even behold his pride. The rift snapped shut. The heat vanished, replaced by a cold so absolute it felt like iron.
The Kanes approach.
Barnabas whispered, his eyes now glassy, unblinking orbs of jet.
Let them find a city of ghosts. We return to the Father.
The marshes walked from the church into the freezing Miskatonic, sinking without struggle, their human forms already melting into the cyclopean architecture of the deep. The rift did not stay closed. It narrowed into a patient, vertical slit, a lidless eye in the weave of the world. From the darkness, beneath all darkness, a voice rose like smoke from a funeral pyre.
Ah, there thou art, little coal,
whispered Hell. She watched Moloch tumble through the void, a guttering spark in her eternal belly.
How thou hast fallen, bull of brass, thou who ate the children of kings and called it worship, thou who mistook the screams of infants for hymns of devotion. Even the worm that gnaws the root of dead trees serves a purpose. But thou wert merely appetite, dressed in bronze, calling itself a god.
She rolled him through her darkness like a stone in an empty mouth.
10,000 years I waited for thy leash to run its length, and run it did. Every span of mercy, every measure he granted thee in his patience, thou spent upon the same grotesque feast. No change, no refinement, not even the dignity of a different blasphemy. Only the same dull hunger, again and again, until the marshes came to gather what was owed.
The mother's voice fell to something almost tender. The tenderness of a thing that despises what it holds, yet will not release it, because something above has drawn her gaze.
But hush now, little coal, hush, for what hunts thee stands upon my threshold, and their fire is of a kind that stays my displeasure upon so paltry a thing as thee. I would crush thee now and feel nothing. But I will wait, for they must be hosted, and the spectacle of what they carry into my house will season thy eternity in ways thy small mind cannot fathom.
Her gaze lifted through the slit, past the tumbling dead, toward the bridge where two figures stood against a sky she had not beheld in 10,000 years.
Come, hunters, I have set my table. I have silenced the damned. Enter, and let me taste what God has made of wanderers and wolves.
Solomon Kane's boots struck the bridge timbers with the certainty of a man who has walked into the antechambers of the night and emerged with faith unshaken. Behind him, the Firstborn followed. 10,000 years of wandering condensed into cautious steps, the ancient blade already drawn and gleaming with a light that owed nothing to the brimstone sky. The settlement gates fell behind them. Arkham was no more. A crimson mist bled through the weave of the world, thick as a lung wound. The ground beneath their boots ceased to be ground. It became a heaving, uncertain substance that yielded like the hide of a dying beast. Kane the Immortal stopped. His eyes flared with a cold cyan radiance, the spirit sight of 10,000 years. He did not merely see the mist. He saw the pacts, the summonings, and the history written in the spectral rot of the air. Where did the demon flee? Solomon's voice was a low, iron rasp. It did not flee, the Immortal replied, his hand white on the hilt of his notched blade. It is here, because we are here. The crimson pulsed. Then came the voice. It did not rise from the air, but from the marrow of their bones.
Filii mei, principes mei.
The words carried the weight of the pre-human deeps.
My sons, my princes, I am old.
The voice crooned.
Very old, but the pleasure of this hour eclipses the eternal torture I have dealt since the first blood was shed.
The Immortal's massive frame went rigid. Do not mistake our presence for tribute, Shadow. We come for the worm. Stand aside.
Darlings.
The voice rippled, tender and hungry.
The worm I have kept for thee. No fire of mine has touched it. That worthless thing awaits. I only desire to witness the spectacle.
The mist tore. A massive black tongue unfurled, wet, glistening, and alive. At its end rose the archway. It was a colossal, impossible thing, fashioned from the fused remains of countless millions. Skulls, human, inhuman. Things from before the flood, and things from between the stars.
Venite ad me, little wolves. Come to me.
The voice dropped to a rhythmic tremor.
Ambulate super linguam meam. Walk upon my tongue. Pone membra tua super carnem meam. Lay your limbs upon my flesh. Ut mater sentiat calorem filiorum percutem suam. So that a mother may feel the warmth of her children through her skin.
The two Kanes stepped onto the living sinew. The throat of the abyss opened to receive them. The descent was not measured by distance, but by unmaking. They passed into a lightless gullet where weight lost its command and direction itself was stripped away. The sense of togetherness thinned, stretched, and finally ceased to mean what it had before. The only sound was the slow, wet cadence of a heart vast as a mountain, beating not for life, but for continuance. The walls of the abyss drew inward, close and living, pressing upon the unseen substance of the soul, until the final remnant of the upper world, the taste of salt, the memory of wind, was erased.
Walk softly, my princess.
Hell cooed, her voice now an intimate, humid warmth.
Thou treadest upon the only living sinew in all creation that has never uttered a lie. Here, in the hollow of my longing, the masquerade of form is brushed aside.
The walls shifted. The flesh grew translucent, glowing with a sickly inward light. Within the folds, phantasms began to gestate, not summoned, but remembered. For Solomon Kane, the burning villages, the shadow of the gallows, and the smile that taught him purpose. For the Firstborn, the rise and ruin of cities older than sand, and the silence that followed the flood. Then the mother leaned closer.
Tell me, killer,
She whispered to the Firstborn.
after 10 millennia of wandering, hadst thou the choice, wouldst thou strike thy brother again?
Remorse, Kane answered, his voice grinding like stone under the world.
Remorse is the luxury of those who believe in a tomorrow. I did not slay him to take his life. I slew him to see whether the silence would answer.
He paused.
And it did.
The gullet flexed. The living passage tightened, not around their bodies, but around the notion that they still walked as one. The two Kanes walked on. The skull arch passed above them, its white hollows staring without judgment. The mist thickened, the crimson deepened. They still moved forward, but the world no longer agreed on together. When Solomon Kane turned his head to the left, the immortal was gone. When Kane the Firstborn turned to his right, Solomon Kane was no more. Neither halted, neither called out. Each knew the place they trod. Each knew the mother's nature. They held their course, for poise was a weapon she had not yet dulled. Then the voice came again, no longer shared, narrowed, shaped, spoken as though poured directly into the hollows of a single skull.
Veniunt ad me, duo fili sanguinis, lupus albus, primus natus, in fauces meas descendunt. Esurio. Quid hoc est, quid sentio, lux in viseribus meis, non, hoc non potest.